All right, so this is the foldable palette. So this is the bucket, and the bucket folds up nice into this little flat thing, and the palette sits in it and has a little latch underneath that locks in. You can see that. So then you have this as your sort of like travel kit, and it's in there good. Um, so I feel like it'll be good. I'm not going anywhere yet. Then you unlatch that, and you can lever that out just with the latch that's on the pallet itself. And we have our bucket, which is, I guess, the selling point to some people. It's nice, it's sturdy, I've been using it. And then this is the pallet itself. So you can see it's a 16 little pallet square. It's got a really good seal. It's actually quite stiff when you first get it. And then it has this silicone gasket kind of thing on top, seal. Now, if you have the paint really wet, it does sometimes sort of squirt out, which is why I have the mess that I have. But once I get it the right consistency, it's actually very tidy. So you can put that there. Sometimes I use this as a mixing thing, and then these are my gouache tube sort of paint put in here. So like eventually, it's likely that this could get moldy, but apparently you can just sort of clean it with scooping the mold out and spraying it with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. As long as you let it evaporate before you paint with it, it shouldn't fuck anything up. People mix like clove oil or I think Dettol or other sort of like preservatives in it. Presumably, you could use some pretty effective honey in some places. I'm just using Winsor Newton. I did hear that the ivory and lamp blacks are the worst for molding, just because of their organic ingredients. So I'm using a jet black, which is a little cooler, but it's working for me. And it's been 2 weeks, and so far so good. We'll see. I like it because it's very sturdy. It's pretty easy to pack back up. My only concern in a plein air context is where you put this particular gasket while you're painting. I know it's kind of hard to stick tape to silicone, but if I could make kind of a latch that would just sort of let it hang, I would do that. And the other addition I would probably make to it for plein air would be to put a finger loop underneath. And I believe Transon makes a very similar palette with a finger loop, so that could be something you might want to look at on Amazon. I got this set on Jackson's for like $8 Canadian when it was on sale. It's certainly worth more than that. It feels really sturdy. It's been working really reliably so far. And these are the smallest version of like a palette with a seal on it that I have found. Most of them that I see, the squares are sort of like an inch wide or more. And it would take half to a whole tube of paint to make them work. But this one, you could put probably half a tube of gouache, a 15 or 14 milliliter tube of gouache in one of these. But you can get away with a lot less because what you need to keep it fresh is for the gouache to be sort of covering the bottom. So there's just the top evaporation and no other. And I do mix a little water in with a palette knife when I put them in there, especially the really gunky ones like the alizarin crimson and the burnt umber. And yeah, I just use an eyedropper to put clean water in at the end of my painting session. Don't do it at the start. Then you have a layer of water on top and it's hard to get your paint out, but at the end, and it will essentially just get absorbed into the pigment by the time you start your next session. And yeah, that is why I like this. I like it a lot. I have seen very similar things with the bucket on AliExpress as well. So if that's more convenient than Jackson's, that might be worth it. I imagine for us North American folks, the shipping time might be about the same at this point. But honestly, it's so much value for the money for me. I like it a lot, and it was a thing I'd been sort of keeping an eye out for a long time. There's a lot of other ways to use gouache. This is the way I like to use it, and I feel like I'm getting better results every day. So yeah, that's my video.